All right, so our game of the week is here. And a lot of you out there are going to be saying, "Oh, Mel, you picked this game because your boss is in it." Well, not really. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into picking the game of the week. Number one, these guys are division rivals. They're both 2-1 heading into the game at the top of the division, and the point spread is pretty thin at FUF, being a 1 point favorite, and Star getting one in a dog situation. So let's just get right to the matchup. Star's going to start Sam Bradford this week. I was talking with him a little earlier in the day, and he's rationalizing. The Kansas City defense, the pass rush has just been relentless, and Eli Manning and the Giants have had a hard time in protection and a hard time just moving the ball. Period in the passing game. So he wanted to go in a different direction. San Francisco is down a defensive starter. They're at home. They have some good young weapons on offense. And I like their ability to move the ball through the air. So he's excited about that move, and he hopes that's going to work out for him. I'd look for a 250-yard game, maybe a touchdown or two. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 10 points from the quarterback position. LaShawn McCoy has been everything any fantasy owner could expect up until this point. I mean, the guy looked like he had a season-ending injury in the first half of last Thursday night's game, and then he comes back in the second half and just blows up and runs for a 41-yard touchdown and ends up with 170 yards rushing or something ridiculous like that. So he's just been an absolute beast. It's going to be tough sledding against that Denver secondary, but I think that if anybody can run on a tough defense, LaShawn McCoy and Peterson are probably two of the backs that I would put up there as people that could get their production against almost anybody in the league. Jamal Charles, got to be licking his lips going up against a Giants team that's in absolute disarray. The defense isn't as bad as the offense, but they're still pretty bad. I think that Charles has a really nice game at home against this Giants team. So again, the Starfish backfield looks like they could provide a lot of production for him this week. Victor Cruz. You just got to hope that Eli gets enough protection to get the ball downfield to this guy. But at this point, he's just he's one of those startable wide receivers that you're just hoping and praying adds something to your team. But don't look for a lot from him because I don't think the Giants can fix their problem in 1 week. Frank Gore going up against St. Louis. I talked a little bit earlier. I think they started to get Gore going last week. And I think he had 11 carries for 82 yards, and then Harbaugh took him out of the game, and Gore wasn't exactly thrilled about it. But I think Harbaugh understands that if Gore's going well, it frees up Kaepernick to do some of the things that he does well. So look for San Francisco to have both aspects of that game going on against St. Louis. Stephen Hauschka, Seattle's kicker, had a nice week last week against Jacksonville. Who doesn't have a nice week against Jacksonville? I think he's going to go into Houston and have an opportunity. That Seattle offense really looks like they're clicking. They can run football. They can throw it down the field. Offense moves it nicely. So look for Stephen Hauschka to have a couple opportunities at some field goals. The Texans D going up against Seattle. This is not going to be a great output game for the Texans defense. Wilson doesn't make mistakes with the football. He's mobile. He gets out of trouble, not very easily sacked. And of course, they run it a ton with Marshawn Lynch, so it doesn't lend itself to be a good game for people to score defensive points. So look for a low output from the Texans defense to put some points on the board. Rob Gronkowski, I think Star's really holding his breath here that he's going to be able to play. Star had to take James Jones out of his lineup, obviously with the Packers having a bye week this week. So he's really hoping that Gronkowski is healthy and that he can play in that Sunday night game and come back at 100% and be Brady's favorite target again. So if that's the case, I think Star, really, really improves his chances of winning this game. But a lot's going to ride on whether Gronkowski can start or not at tight end. Getting over to FUF's side, you got Matthew Stafford going up against Chicago. That Chicago defense is pretty good. Secondary is pretty good. You still got Tillman back there who can make some plays. Linebacking core is pretty good. But obviously, Stafford's got the best weapon in the world in Megatron. I really like the Broyles kid who's going to step up and take Nate Burleson's spot. So I think they're still going to move the ball down the field. I think Stafford has a 300-yard game with multiple touchdowns. Darren McFadden, really had sort of a quirky game on Monday night. Didn't do much from a running perspective, but he did throw a touchdown pass, and I believe he caught a touchdown pass and he scored on a short run. So it was a productive day, even though his yardage totals didn't mimic that. Washington's defense is bad, and if they don't have their quarterback available to them, look for them to lean on McFadden to do most of the offensive lifting. Marshawn Lynch with Seattle going up against Houston. Like I said, Seattle loves to run the football. Houston's defense is mediocre at this point. I look for him to have a nice day down in Houston. Calvin Johnson, we talked a little bit about he and Stafford. I look for him to catch at least one of those touchdown passes from Stafford, probably 100 yards receiving. Shouldn't be a problem for him. Julian Edelman, as we've said before, with all the rookie wideouts in New England, I think he brings some stability to that lineup. Definitely one of Brady's favorite targets. If Gronkowski comes back, look for his targets to go down, though Edelman's targets to go down, because obviously he'll have to share some of that load with Gronkowski, and they sort of occupy the same area of the field. So it'll definitely impact Edelman if Gronkowski comes back. Gostkowski, I think they're going to move the ball again against Atlanta, and he's going to have an opportunity to kick some field goals. The Bills defense playing against Baltimore, Flacco's been prone to make some mistakes. He's definitely not a mobile quarterback, so you've got some opportunities to get back there and get some sacks. So it's an okay play to play the Bills this week, but I wouldn't expect them to put up anything monstrous like 10 to 12 points from a defensive perspective. And then lastly, Stevie Johnson in the flex position. Looks like he and EJ Manuel are starting to really develop a rapport together, which is great for the young quarterback to have a nice veteran receiver like that to lean on to make plays. Baltimore, decent secondary, so look for them to limit his opportunities. But definitely, you still got to start him because I think he's the guy that EJ Manuel's looking for. So when we look at this whole matchup, and it looks like FUF's edge and Star out by one right now. If Gronkowski comes back, maybe Star gets a little bit of the edge there. But look, I think what's really going to come down to in this matchup is Star's quarterback situation is atrocious right now, and he really needs to get some decent production from one of those guys. I just don't know that it's going to happen this week. So I've got FUF to win and cover in our game of the week. Hope you guys have enjoyed all the different segments of Star Kuiper, and I'm going to sign off, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.